Please welcome General Manager, Product Marketing, Microsoft Lync and Skype, Giovanni Mezquez.
Hello everyone. I have the coolest job in the world. I actually get to see everybody using our technology, from the moms and the dads that want to talk to their kids with Skype in the consumer world, to folks that use Lync in the enterprise, and it's great to be here. Welcome to the Lync Conference 2014. It's our second annual show, and this is a very exciting time for all of us to be in the communication business, and we have a full agenda this week that I think will reflect the excitement that we all have. You will leave the 2 days with lots of enthusiasm for what we do. So, welcome. And also, thank you. You all have taken time from your super busy lives to come here, and I wanted to take a moment to thank our customers, our partners, our MVPs for continuing to drive the business forward. Without all of you, we wouldn't be here. And so thank you for coming here at the Lync Conference. In particular, I want to thank the sponsors. We're thrilled to be here with our partners, sharing our vision on how we can all come together and deliver transformative communication experiences for everyone. We have 87 partners that sponsor the show today. Give them all a hand, come on. This is super fun. Not only they've sponsored, but they do a lot of work every day to drive our business. Let's take an example of HP, our diamond sponsor. Not only they've sponsored the conference, not only they have a hosted Lync offering in all the major countries worldwide, but they're delivering Lync to over 400,000 employees in their own organizations, including telephony. Thank you. From small to large, you all count, and we really do appreciate you being here and doing all the work with us at the conference. Last year, we kicked our first annual conference in San Diego. It was sunny, the beach was in front of us. This year, we upgraded to the area. Not only the hotel is different, you might have noticed that for the people that have come to both conferences, but we've doubled the number of attendees. There were 800 of you last year. This year, we have over 1,600. With doubled number of customers, the number of partners, and the number of MVPs. So thank you for all coming here and moving the show from San Diego to Las Vegas. Now, the hotels looked a little different. As I said, Coronado was old and quaint. And, of course, where we are today, it's just kind of like big and grand. But that's not only the difference. Based on your feedback, we have increased our number of sessions from 60 last year to over 170 sessions this year. Many of them will be repeated on Thursday. So you'll be having full opportunities to never miss a topic that you really are into it. We have created a separate partner track. That way Microsoft sessions and partner sessions do not compete with each other. That's part of your feedback. We also have hands-on labs that you can not only access here at the conference, but even more importantly, if you use the MyLink, the portal that you've been all exposed to as you registered, you can access all 10 of hands-on lab from your room or from your office anytime you leave the conference. So you have plenty of time to do all this exercise. And we also added Lync Room Systems labs that, of course, last year we did not have. And those will be accessible to you on Wednesday and Thursday. So you'll have all 2 days to play around with our technologies, talk to people in the engineering organizations and our partners, and really understand what we do and how our technology works. Now, we also have a little bit of party time. Last year, we were at SeaWorld, and we saw Shamu, and we all played in roller coasters. It was kind of fun in a San Diego sort of way. This year, we're moving completely the team, and we'll be going to Akasan, which is a nightclub at MGM, and there we'll have cocktails, drinks, we'll be spending some time together, and of course, we will be dancing, which I can't wait for. It's a joke. We're leaving today. It's going to be from 6:30 to 9:30. The hotel is right in front, so it's really easy for everybody to just walk to whenever you want, have some fun together, and then do whatever else you might want to do in your evening. Now, last year, we also talked about Lync and Skype coming together. And we shared a very clear vision of how these two products would connect to each other, one really strong in the consumer space, the other one really strong in the enterprise space. And we shared our vision of empowering people, both at work and in life. We're here today to see the next stage of that, to see the progress that we made and to understand what's coming next. And so here we are, coming together, customer and partners, MVPs, Microsoft employees, Lync and Skype. Thank you all for continuing the journey with us, and hopefully you'll enjoy the show and come back again next year. Let's roll the video.
Announcing me?
No, I think they do it. I heard.
Yes, you'll get
Yeah.
I'll send you out.
Cool. Thank you. Oh, you want to take this?
Hi, Luna. I'm sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Corporate Vice President, Microsoft Lync and Skype, Gurdeep Singh Paul.
Well, hello again. Well, it's great to be back. Great to be back amongst friends. The last 2 years, I went on a sabbatical. Let's just call it a sabbatical, okay? I went and worked on a very exciting set of technologies, which I think are going to be relevant as my talk goes on today. But I was focused on building an artificial intelligence platform, which I really believe is going to be one of the winning ingredients of the next decade. But it's really just meeting old friends, old partners, seeing the momentum of Lync, the momentum of Skype has been absolutely exhilarating. So before I start, I thought I start down a journey. 10 years ago, when Microsoft entered the communication space, this is what the world looked like. It was a world of PBXs, it was a world of phones, and there was a false disruption happening in the industry. Now, at the time, everybody thought that voice over IP was a huge disruption. Well, they were right and they were wrong. Because the only thing that you could tell whether you were using voice over IP or the good old TDM telephony was that you had to turn the phone over and look at whether it's an RJ11 or RJ45 jack. From a user's perspective, nothing was different. So this was 2003, big attendant consoles, fax machines, old style phones with completely different directories and so on. And at that time, we introduced a product called Live Communication Server 2003. This is October 2003. And I remember when we first started talking about this product, the industry looked at us and said, what? What are you guys talking about? Now we had never been in the communications business before. We had never built PBXs, we had never built phones. So when we started looking at the opportunity of what the internet was providing us, we had the benefit of actually thinking about things without being tethered to the past of PBX and phones. So we believed in a few things. We felt that the most important thing is user experience. We felt the fact that people have two devices on their desks, a PC and a phone, doesn't mean that they want to do things twice completely differently. We felt that you really have to integrate communications right into their applications they use every day. We also had two other beliefs. Microsoft, the company, was founded on the idea that general purpose processors can really transform computing. So in the last decade, we believed that you can transform communications with general purpose processors as well. You didn't need these custom systems end to end. We believed that you could use general purpose networks to transform how communication networks are built. And it's built around these very few, very powerful ideas that we launched Live Communication Server 2003. It was a whopping success. The first month we shipped the server, we made $16,000. And my team actually made a big check with $16,000 and presented it to me. I still have a picture of that. It's one of my fondest memories of my work artifacts. But that sort of started the journey. Now we know 10 years later that all has changed. There isn't a vendor in this industry who doesn't believe in unified communications. Many of them quickly renamed their PBXs, unified this, unified that. But everybody believes in this. Nobody today goes and buys PBXs. This transformation took 10 years. This transformation has completely changed how people think about communications and how they live their lives and how they work. So it's been a great journey. Now this journey, yes, we had a lot of ideas and we had all these powerful concepts behind us, but honestly, it really comes down to customers who are buying into the vision, who are buying into the products, giving us feedback, using this, kicking the tires. And then over the last 10 years, we've seen massive adoption to our products. And so thank you very much. Many of you are in the room today, many are not in the room. But at this point, we see just tremendous momentum and adoption of the technologies that we are building. Now, one of the things that Microsoft has always stood for is an ecosystem, because we believe that it's impossible to do anything alone at this scale. We've always relied on partners in everything we do at Microsoft, and here again, we built a tremendous ecosystem of partners. 1,300 certified partners worldwide. That's what it takes to deploy, to meet the needs globally of communications for enterprises. So, it's been great, lots of global SIs, lots of global partners, 1,300 certified partners. It's absolutely fantastic. It's great to see you here. Many of you are in the room today, and I really look forward to working with you as we engage more. Now let's look at a few more numbers. Lync has had 38 quarters of double-digit revenue growth. 60% of enterprises in the US have either deployed or are deploying Lync. Sometime last year, we crossed $1 billion in revenue and going strong. And of course, we are now called the #1 UC voice market leader. Thanks to, of course, the great work the product teams have done, but thanks to our partners and thanks to you, our customers, that we've gotten to this place. Now, along the way, as we were on this journey to transform enterprise communications, we picked up Skype. And with Skype, we got a few capabilities which I think are absolutely powerful. 1/3 of all global long-distance calling in the world happens on Skype. So next time a competitor tells you that Microsoft doesn't know voice, why don't you ask them what percentage of world calling happens on their solutions? 130 million users out of the 300+ million users on Skype use Android and iOS. So next time a competitor asks you or tells you that Microsoft is not committed to other ecosystems like Android, ask them how many 100 million users they have running on Android. So these capabilities are very, very powerful because they really help us make a solution which certainly works better for you and actually works across work and life. I'll touch more on that later. I can throw lots of numbers at you, but frankly, what really excites me is the individual stories that each of our customers has. whether it is around cost savings, because you have an inherently much more efficient system, whether it be really the delight the users have when they use these products, and the satisfaction, the low frustration, and the high usage and high productivity. I think a lot of people tell me these stories, a lot of you tell me these stories. And Lync is really becoming a fundamental part of the necessary IT infrastructure in most enterprises. And that's what really makes it super exciting for me. That's what makes it so exciting for me to come back to this business and really join this journey again with you guys. Now, I can, a very, very important piece of delivering on innovation is the pace of innovation. Now, a lot of 10 years ago, I remember the world was very different. We used to ship products every 2 years, 3 years, and and that's what it took, and that was sort of the capacity for enterprises to absorb innovation that was coming out. But the world has changed. Today, it's all about, what you can do, how fast, how quickly you can adopt technologies. Customers are not standing still. They expect us to ship soon. We have moved to a quarterly cadence on shipping products, shipping innovations. We've got, lots of cross-platform updates, Android, iOS, Windows, 14 different cross-platform updates. First phase of Lync and Skype connectivity with VoIP, we delivered that, and with instant messaging. So, a lot of this stuff has been happening. The team is executing at a very, very fast pace. I'm so happy to see that. We've seen in the last 2 years that I've been away, I've seen some amazing transformation in the democratization of telepresence. I remember when I left, the world was still living with these $250,000 systems, which, they wanted to make sure they were always dust-free, and they were used about once a week. And what I've seen now with the Lync room systems is that that's starting to really, really become a lot more accessible, and not with this crazy different user interface, but with an interface that people, when they walk in the room, they know what to do. So lots of progress, new Lync server underway. I'm really, really, really pleased to see the progress that has happened and the fast clip with which we're executing on this. Now, I can stand here and tell you a lot more about what is coming next, which is super exciting, the work that is actually currently cooking in the kitchen back in Redmond. But in order to help me with that, we much rather show that to you. I'm going to ask Derek Burney, my colleague and corporate vice president at Microsoft, to come in and show you some of these technologies. Derek.
Oh, where's my clicker? Got my notes? Good morning. There we go. Not a problem. Man, if I can get my notes up there, that'd be great. Thanks. So, how's everybody doing? Oh, come on. We're in this amazing establishment. You probably have all kinds of stuff going on. How's everybody doing this morning? Okay. That's better. That's why I got up this morning. All right, that's not why I got up this morning. I got up this morning so I could show you some cool stuff. Last year, those of you who were at the Lync conference know that I demoed Lync 2013 mobile across many devices. Now, I'd like to show you some of the things that we've been up to since then. So let's start on this guy. Lync, show my meetings.
Showing your meetings.
Oh yeah. See, this is an example of the intelligent platform that we're now working on, where this is a version that was released last month, and it's built on the Windows Phone Open Speech API. Lync, join my current meeting.
Joining current meeting.
Actually, I shouldn't have celebrated quite yet. There it goes. So, one of the coolest features I showed last year was one-click join, so that you could join a meeting with one click. And I thought, how could we possibly improve on that? How about no clicks? Just say, join my next meeting. There we go. Start the video. So for the devs out there in the audience, you can actually take advantage of this API for yourself and use it for your own Windows Phone app. So I look forward to seeing what you're going to do with that. And interestingly, since last year, we had 3 major updates on each of the Windows Phone app and also on iOS. So we're updating these applications quite quickly. But are you satisfied with that? No. We do all this work and still you want more. Well, more is what we have for you. Right here is an Android tablet. Okay, 3 people were asking for us to build the Android tablet Lync application. For just those 3 of you, we delivered. Let's see, we're going to join that meeting. Have a great meeting. We're connecting you on the Android tablet. There we go. And then I will start my video as well as soon as it's set. Here we go. There. By the way, there were also 2 updates to the Android phone app that we released last year. So again, the releases just keep on coming. This particular tablet, the software will be available on Google Play by the end of June. So we're really excited about that. I'm also excited that it's working just great before June, that I can show it to you here. Another top ask was anonymous join from a mobile device, so that your customers and partners who don't have Lync can join the meetings. Anybody interested in that particular feature? All right, so here on iPad, we'll go into the Mail client, click on the join link that you get, and I'll sign in as a guest. Let's go with all right, we got some rockers in the house. Somebody from my vintage. Okay, so Uncle Ted has joined the meeting anonymously on the iPad. This is what you've been asking for. Now, this particular functionality has been available with our Lync web app all along, but now, of course, it's been added to the iPad, which is what we want to see. You're waiting in the lobby. Okay, we got comedians in the house, too. I always love it when these things get interactive with 2,000 of my favorite friends. All right, next. Our CEO, our new CEO, Satya, has said that the technology world has really become mobile focused. Now, of course, we kind of know that, and we've been working hard on our mobile apps. But here's an example where we've taken it even further. So I'm going to go ahead and join this meeting from an iPhone this time, referencing Gurdeep's earlier remarks about how we're committed to this cross-platform environment. Let me start the video here. Okay, so now we've started the video and I'm on the iPhone. Now we want to enable IWs to be productive wherever they are and on whatever device they choose. So even without a desktop or Office, they can collaborate and be productive. So what you're seeing here is the PowerPoint deck now on the iPhone. That's what I was hoping for. Okay, now sliding over to my favorite Lync client, which is the one on the Lync Modern on this new Windows 8.1 tablet. We've delivered 2 major updates to this app, and we designed it to take advantage of native 8.1 features, such as accepting calls from the lock screen. And so as you see here from the lock screen, I got an incoming call. I just hit the video button and I've answered it without having to unlock the machine. That's a cool step. Okay, good, thank you. Now I did just briefly unlock it because I want to do a little bit more than just answer the call. And I'm just going to pin a couple of these participants to the gallery here. All right. That's not the most interesting meeting, so let me improve how things are going here. Let's get some meeting participants. All right. Oh yeah, Paul's never shy. Here we go. Get him there. Wonderful. And there's There's Gene. Now that, ladies and gentlemen, is a meeting. Let's see, maybe we'll get a slide up and we'll have a PowerPoint deck in this meeting too, because there's one thing that KISS is very famous for, and that's their interest in unified communications and Lync and Skype. Another thing I'd like to show too is this split screen. We had it before, but now with 8.1, we can change the dimensions of the split screen and make it much more interesting. And you notice no matter what the size is, I get all of the content in my Lync meeting. I've got the deck, I've got the video. We can see Ace Frehley there looking very attentively at this particular slide. I've got the IMs. So the split screen is really, really effective and dynamic. The other thing that we've added to the modern client is the ability, watch this, I double tap, now I can see the deck in full screen, but I can also advance through the slides myself. For those of you who have been frustrated only being able to look at somebody else's presentation and not have any control over it, we put this feature in for you. And that would be the likes of me. So given that I'm advancing the slides on my own, let's look at a couple of the pieces of content here. So I wanted to show some of the mobile enhancements that we've made. Viewing meeting content, of course. Native viewing of PowerPoints. These are all the investments that we've made on the mobile side. Anonymous join, to be able to invite additional participants. So the theme here is that the mobile applications are becoming more and more powerful and productive so that you can get more and more done just from your mobile device itself. I also alluded to the amount of work that we've been doing in the last year since the last time I had the privilege of speaking to you. We've had 2 major releases for the Lync Modern app, 3 for Windows Phone, 3 for iOS, and 2 for Android phone, and more coming. They just keep coming, and as I mentioned, the Android tablet's coming soon. Now, I haven't talked about Lync on the desktop. There have been 4 desktop client updates in that time frame as well. So we've enhanced the meetings view. Now you can embed images in an IM. That's a much requested feature. We have a Q&A manager and spell check in there. So again, the desktop client itself is getting updated quite often. Now, we're excited to see the strong advances from our device maker ecosystem. Several brand new optimized for Lync devices are launching at the Lync conference, such as the Pro 935 wireless headset and the Biz 2300 corded headset from Jabra, or the MB Pro series from Sennheiser, which is designed for music and optimized for Lync, and the new Logitech CC3000E video speakerphone for mid-sized meeting spaces. So in addition to all these new devices though, we're seeing greater integration between the devices themselves and the Lync software via creative application of the Lync APIs combined with the device's contextual intelligence. So that's a mouthful. What does that mean? Well, for those of you who went to CES, the CES show, you might have seen that this year the theme was kind of wearable technology. And so an example of wearable tech is being showcased by Plantronics just across the hall there in the expo hall, using something they call seamless transfer. It leverages Lync's call transfer APIs and the proximity events, near, far, and away, provided by Plantronics audio devices. So what that means is that when you're using one of their headsets against, let's say, my Surface here, and I walk away, it detects that I've left and will automatically call me on my cell phone. Oh, I heard an ooh. So what I'd like you to do in between these sessions is go to the expo hall, because we have many other partners as well who are showcasing some amazing products. This ecosystem is really phenomenal. The innovation that's taking place is absolutely unbelievable. Now I'm going to switch sides, come over here. Last year, you saw me demo Lync Room Systems. And it's great to see the momentum that that product is having and talking to the customers and seeing how excited they are about the systems that they've deployed. But what if you made your conference room choice years ago when VTCs were the only game in town? Well, with Lync, you can now protect your existing investments in those systems. Let me show you how. I'm going to invite more people. Actually, I'll do it from here. Scroll down. Tandberg, Levitt Legacy, VTC. There we go.
micromanaging us.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late for the business meeting.
Look at him.
Oh, hey, Derek, no worries, no worries.
I see you guys are working on our budgets. How are things going?
It's going pretty good, but it's taking us a bit longer than other teams to crunch the numbers. I'm not really sure why.
Well, you know, I have a sneaking suspicion I know why. Excel actually is what people in the 21st century are using for their number crunching. And also we have things like Lync room systems, which you can use for meeting joins as well. So maybe if you updated all of your technology, maybe you lost the Rubik's Cube there, and you know, that might help you with your productivity. What do you think? Yeah? Why don't we take a closer look at that room so the rest of us can see what we're talking about there? Oh yeah, I can see all that equipment that you're using. Okay. This video interop server that you're witnessing live is actually going to be released in our next version of Lync server, so stay tuned. So, you've just seen Lync across the devices and platforms and even interoperability with the Tandberg VTC. That's fantastic progress, but I'm not going to stop here. The way businesses buy technology is changing. We're seeing a trend in the market where instead of just relying on IT, it's being involved with the sales and marketing folks as well. So now I want to show you how Microsoft is actually taking communications beyond the platforms, beyond the networks, truly beyond boundaries, using Lync and Skype technologies. So let me get my browser here. So as a consumer, oh yes, let's celebrate this. This is live Bing. We don't do pre-stage demos here. This is all live, folks. That's what's going on in the Olympics. Anyway, as a consumer, I'm one of the 168 million unique searchers on the Bing network, whether it's to find a restaurant or search about something that's related maybe to my hobbies. So on that note, my hobby is guitars, so let me search for guitars. And so in the top left, I see Daniel's Vintage Guitar Shop and some information about that, and the Skype phone number. Now those of you who have seen the web before with Skype installed on your machine, you've probably noticed that you can see that Skype logo next to a phone number. So we've always enabled you to be able to click a phone number to call. But in that case, you are actually paying for the minutes of your PSTN connection. Now what we've introduced with the Bing call extensions is a way for the businesses themselves to pay for your call. So it very much acts like an 800 number. So I just call. So instead of me paying for this call, it's actually coming directly to the business itself.
Hey, you have reached Daniel's Vintage Guitar Shop. How can I help you?
Daniel's Vintage Guitar Shop. Well, listen, I'm a kind of a 70s rock music fan. I'm wondering, do you have any guitars that I might like? I don't know, like a Les Paul or a Gibson Birdland, maybe something Ted Nugent would have played?
Let me see here. I think I have a Birdland in amazing condition.
Really, a Birdland? Wow, okay. How much do you want for it?
You know, it's hard to get, so I would ask for around $7,500 US.
Oh, 7,500. That's a bit steep. That's more than I want to spend right now. But you know what? I really like that guitar. I'll get back to you.
No worry. Call me back anytime.
Okay. See ya. So what I'm just showing you there is that now businesses can connect directly to their consumers, and the consumers have no barriers to call. And like I said, it's an updated version of kind of the notion of 800 numbers, which themselves can be geographically limited. They don't necessarily work from Canada to the US or international. But using Skype, that's where you have access to those hundreds and hundreds of millions of users, and so it makes a huge difference. We're really excited about that. Now, I'm going to switch to the desktop. There are also cases where businesses want to go beyond just making it easy for their customers to reach them via audio. They want to embed rich communications within their websites. And so here, for example, is a healthcare website, and I'm a member of this, so I'm going to sign in with my Microsoft account. So since I've signed in, it knows who I am, and I have access to some of the information that's here. Now, I've got a little pain in my hand right now, so I'm just going to press arm and hands, And you'll see that the I am bot on the right-hand side is keeping up with what I'm pressing, and I click on hand pain again. And now on the right-hand side, it's asking me some questions. Did your pain start directly after a significant injury? So I'll say no. It comes, are you unable to move your hand, or is there pronounced bruising or swelling? No. And then I could decide, well, we're going to be here all day, so let me cut to the chase, and then there's a link here to chat with a doctor, so I'm going to press that. And that's going to connect me directly to a doctor so I can have a real-time conversation. Not just audio, but video as well.
Hey Derek, it's so great to see you.
Hey!
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, actually, I'm not doing entirely great. I've got a bit of a pain in my hand that I was hoping you can help me with.
Oh really? Can you show me where, please?
Yeah, it's kind of like right here.
Okay, and is there any motions that would make this pain worse?
Yeah, like kind of like this.
Oh, now I see what you're pointing out to. So you probably could be, you're playing guitar.
Oh, how perceptive of you. I actually play guitar a lot. Any ideas for me that I can not have
So
it hurt?
yeah, I would suggest you do some stretches before you start playing. Probably that help the blood flow as well.
Some stretches. So what kind? There are a million stretches. You
Oh,
can show
so
me?
you can potentially start by doing this, and then doing both hands maybe together, and try to do some wrist moves for both hands. Oh, yeah, you can go that out if you want.
Oh, okay.
That works as well.
All right. Hey, well, you've been a great help. I feel better already. I'm ready to play, man.
Perfect, perfect.
All right. Thank you. Good talking
Welcome.
to you.
Have a great day.
All right. Hopefully, it doesn't charge me for the full hour. So, one of the things that this is using is something that we're codenaming Lync. I don't know what it'll actually be called when it's released, but it's a JavaScript wrapper around our Unified Communications Web API. So this enables web developers to integrate all modalities of communication into their website very easily, and you saw an example of that. All right. Last thing I want to show is the Skype Lync connectivity. You remember maybe last year that I did a call with Tony Bates, an audio call? Now I want to up-level that so that you can see a difference. So I'm in my Skype contacts list now, and I'm using Lync to head on over to the world of Skype. And now you see the difference. Now you see the difference. So what we've got here is I'm calling from Lync to a pawn shop who is using Skype. So, hey, how's it going over there?
Business is great.
Business is
Got
great?
any good thing for me?
Well, you know what? I'm actually trying to raise some money because there's a guitar that I'm really interested in buying. So if I brought in my guitars, can you see maybe what you get for me?
Yeah, I mean, if it's the same ones as before, it'll probably get you about $6,000.
Oh, that's a little bit shy. I need a bit more money. What can I do to raise some? Oh, you know what? I'm actually just about wrapping up my demo now. So I have an old used Tandberg VTC system that I can unload. Would you be interested in that?
Well, I mean, you know that people are using Lync room systems these days. Old school teleconferencing systems, they just gather dust. Best I can do is probably about $10.
$10, wow. Well, this one isn't used though, it's an antique. I think Christopher Columbus used it when he was crossing the ocean to keep people updated on what was going on. That might have been why actually he didn't get to India like he thought, now that I think about it. How about 20 bucks?
I don't know, man. I mean, if it checks out, I could probably push 15.
Okay, tell you what, I'll bring it in and we'll do a deal.
Perfect.
All right, thanks, see you later. All right. So you see now, you can see your family, friends, and customers, whoever. So right in the confines of Lync, when you're using that in your enterprise, and you've got all your communications going on, now you can communicate to your customers, to your family and friends, enabling whatever scenarios that you like, connecting the enterprise worker side of the business with the hundreds of millions of people on the consumer network. And we brought it together now with video, so we're really, really excited about that. That's coming in a few months as well, so I'm delighted by that, and hopefully you are. So, what have I shown you? I've shown you Lync across mobile devices, including the Android tablet. I've shown you native interoperability with the Tandberg VTCs. I showed you Bing call extensions, powered by Skype, of course, and embedding rich communications in the business properties. I showed you that with the medical website. And then finally, that we've got the video working with the Lync Skype connectivity. So there's tons of progress, and I'm really excited about what the next year is going to bring. Now I want to pass it back to Gurdeep, who's going to talk to some customers about their experiences. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Eric. That was great. Who would have thought the hottest ticket in Vegas was going to be the Lync Keynote with such awesome performance by Derek and the great products that we're shipping. So that's fantastic. So let me, before I move on, let me summarize some of the things. You saw support for Android tablets, Lync server and Tandberg interop coming, browser extensibility with full modalities, and video calling, high definition video calling between Skype and Lync. What he didn't show you were two other things. This year, we will be bringing the ability to get phone numbers and PST and in and out calling into Lync Online. This is what our customers are asking for, and we're going to make that happen. In addition to that, we're going to bring large meetings to Lync Online. Now, we've always had what I consider large meetings. Any meeting between me and 250 of my closest friends, I think, is a pretty large meeting. But customers have asked us for some of their events. They want to use similar tools and so on. So we are going to add, whether it's 1,000, 2,000 people meeting, you can actually have that as part of the Lync Online solution. This is the other thing that we're working on. So just a lot of innovation, lots of feedback from you guys, lots of us working on making sure that we are able to bridge that. So so stay tuned. Now, before I come and talk to you about the future, I thought it's extremely important to talk to you, to have a couple of customers talk to you in two very, very demanding industries. Healthcare, where you have lots of doctors, there's mission critical work going on, the workflow is very different, and also a lot of times, face it, doctors and nurses are not the biggest adopters of technology. And similarly, on the legal side, with looking at a law firm, which is really truly global, and the amount of information work that happens there, extremely demanding environments. So in order to talk about that, please welcome Herb Keller from Adventist Health Systems, and Dean Long from Holland and Knight. Thanks to both of you for joining us today and then sharing your own experiences. Now, before I start, I wanted to get a sense from both of you about what your communication needs are and what are the unique challenges. So maybe we'll start with you, Herb.
Yeah, probably our biggest challenges that we deal with on a day-to-day basis is one of the biggest feedbacks we get from our community is physician communication. And it really relies around doctors ad hoc all the time throughout the day, being able to find nurses, other clinicians throughout the facilities, and that is what we hear on every day. We can't find the people we need to. We can't get people discharged fast enough. We do not know if they've got their drugs appropriately, all those things. So every day, that's our constant feedback.
One thing I've noticed is that every time I go into a hospital, the tools and software they're using always looks very, very different. And, is there a lot of training and those things required?
Yeah, there's a tremendous amount of training, actually. But that is one of the biggest things that the doctors push back on also, which is they talk about our new electronic medical records. And the first thing we always hear is there's too many clicks. But we have very complex workflows because they have all their drugs in there, all of their radiology information, and the first thing they say is, I'm not going to do 5 clicks, and I'm not going to use it. And so we've had to find ways to simplify their workflows, try to put more things on the page so they can view more data, because they are jumping from patient to patient, and they don't have time to learn the computer systems. They don't want to learn them, they just want to do their jobs.
Great. Dean, can you tell us about your unique needs running a global law firm?
Absolutely. We have 22 offices across the world, from Asia to the Americas to the Middle East. And really for us, there isn't a time of day where there isn't an office open somewhere in the world. So from a collaboration perspective, we're always trying to move information back and forward. When we collaborate, we want to make sure that we have the best expertise from the organization. We want to make sure that we have the appropriate cost center associated with it, and by allowing us to move the work around through a good unified communication platform, that would really facilitate that need. The other thing for us is that after that collaboration, we then want to extend that out so we can collaborate with the clients, because our clients are international as well. So they might have offices in Europe, in South America and such. We want to be able to bring all that together. But we have to do it with an interface that's simple, with simple technologies. And simple is hard to do, as you know. We didn't want to have people change their workflow to use the technology. We wanted to provide a single interface so that people could use the technology in their appropriate workflow. Also for us, because we're international and we have all these time zones and such, we really wanted to ensure that people had their work-life balance so that they would be able to not be tethered to their particular phone. They would have multiple avenues to connect and work remotely or in a different office or wherever they might be.
That's great. So, Hope, coming back to you, so tell me, why Lync? I mean, you went through a process of looking at whatever is out there.
You know, it's really funny. The way we got into Lync was back in 2008, we were having a lot of issues in regards to people using different types of IM. And the big concern inside of healthcare is obviously HIPAA, regulation, security, those pieces. So our partnership with Microsoft really paid off, where we got to get in early on your Lync technology. And that was our first venue into that whole world, was completely around IM. And the wonderful thing is you guys have grown an ecosystem that's allowed our way that we're doing healthcare now to continue to change with video and making sure those components are going to be just as secure.
Great. Dean, why Lync for you guys?
Well, for us, we started with Presence and an OCS server, as most people did, as they sort of waded their toes into it. And then when we looked at trying to integrate the voice component into it, we, of course, tried to integrate our traditional PBX system. And once we started with that, just the complexities and the challenges and just the technical aspects of how people would use it became a problem. And that's a problem that we see now, as we're moving away from that environment and we're dealing with that integration. Once we decided that we were going to forklift our phone system, the next natural competitor to look at was, of course, Cisco. And once we dived into that, Cisco had a very good phone-centric environment in that it matched the PBX functionality very well. But once you started looking and going into the whole desktop environment, a lot of concerns came in because it didn't integrate smoothly with Microsoft Office. Once we started looking into it, it didn't give us a single pane of glass because we had a different client for video conferencing, we had a different client for web conferencing, and that went back to that complexity in terms of the technology challenges there. Once we started looking at Lync, it was very desktop-centric, and it had very tight integration, lots of feature and functionality. It would be able to replace our audio conferencing system, our WebEx system and such. And then now it's starting to push into the whole desktop phone perspective. And that's really was the final step for us, so that we could actually roll out the infrastructure to whatever the demographic was out there, whether they just wanted simple dial tone or whether they wanted the full meal deal in terms of the integration. The final component was really Lync and Skype really came from the consumer side, and we really embraced the penetration of consumer-based technology, assuming that it's secure, into the enterprise for two key reasons. One, from a training perspective, we didn't have to train somebody on a brand new tool. But more importantly, we'd be offering a tool in the enterprise that was already in people's normal workflows from a day-to-day basis and already familiar to them, so we weren't changing their workflows either. They'd be able to come in, use their personal technology in the enterprise, and continue to be productive.
Great. And how has the experience been with Lync, and how your users adopted it, what feedback, etc.?
It's actually been going very well there. You know, we have a choose your own device philosophy. So we have a menu of items that they can choose. And the key functionality that people like is that, again, it tailors to their particular workflow. They can choose a device that works for them, and Lync sits on all the platforms that we support. We have Wi-Fi connectivity in all our offices that we provide, and having that VoIP client from Lync is very powerful in that people can go from office to office and still be able to use their traditional number, or they can be in their own office and be able to move from area to area. In fact, the added benefit is Lync is now actually augmenting cellular services in that when there are dead spots and such, the Wi-Fi connectivity takes over and gives you that 5-digit dialing capability there. So that's very powerful to us. The 5-digit dialing functionality is also powerful in that, I don't know if it happens to you, but sometimes I see a phone number on my call display. If I don't recognize it, it's like, is it the one I should answer or one I should not answer? With the name and caller display on Lync, I know instantly who it is. I'm not putting up a barrier in terms of collaboration. I hit the phone and instantly I'm actually communicating. Another functionality from a security perspective that we had is the dashboard in audio conferencing. You can see everyone that's connected. You can see who's talking, who should be a part of the conversation, who should not be a part of the conversation. That's powerful in terms of us protecting the privacy and confidentiality of the data that we have.
Yeah.
Sorry, just two more things.
Yes, yeah.
Click to call is also very powerful, very popular there. But the one thing that actually surprised me is that people are adopting the video conferencing capabilities of Lync, primarily because people are telling me that with video, it forces the engagement of the other party to ensure that people aren't distracted in the conversation.
Great. You know, you were telling me a fascinating story about how some of the folks in your company were used to having multiple phone numbers, and as they moved between different sites, they wanted a different number. So it reminded me of the analog of trying to put a buggy whip holder on a Ford Model T, you know, sort of bring the old metaphor into the new world. And so that was very interesting. And how did you address that?
Well, in fact, we're still battling that now. And the issue was back before VoIP and such, people, if they have multiple offices in multiple cities, just had to have separate phone numbers and such. And now, as we're deploying Lync, people are pushing back and saying, no, I don't want a single number. I want 3-4 numbers through all the different offices and stuff. So we've had to untrain them for the workaround that we've had for the past 20 years.
Very interesting. So how's your experience been with the Lync deployments? I mean, you've got a very large, like 40,000 plus workforce.
Yeah, you know, it's growing every day, which is amazing. We've not really did any training when it comes to the users up to date, and we're already over 100,000 IMs a day, actually, over 3,000 a week on multiple user audio conferences along with video. And what's interesting is now is we're starting to see very specific clinical workflow changes. And what I mean by that is we have specialists for like OB, for instance. So for and what'll happen is a patient will come into the hospital, be high risk, and they'll say, hey, we're probably going to need to send you to a specialist. Well, now instead of sending the patient off over to the specialist, they actually open up a video call first. They are able to look at the patient and say, you know what? I don't think there's going to be a reason for you to come to my office today. We'll see you next week when you're back in the hospital, or we don't need to see you at all. And besides saving, you know, a lady that's 36 months, or 36 weeks, I should say, along through her pregnancy, that's a long time, isn't it? You know, instead, they, you know, they're able not to have that extra trip. So and it saves time for both the physician and for the patient. You know, and other things we're starting to see is in our emergency department, stroke patients will come in, and if you're able to have the physician, the specialist, see that patient within the first few minutes when they come in, and they can decide if they're going to administer certain drugs or not, the chances of saving that patient from long-term effects goes up almost 80%. So we're seeing huge benefits. And along with the high definition coming that we're ready for, we're desperately needing that.
Well, since you're talking about what comes next and adopting that, what are the big things you see from your needs perspective evolving given, you know, your needs and also what the technology is making possible?
Yeah, well, we've actually approached this pretty conservatively because, again, we're healthcare, so we kind of see it every time as being a life and death type of situation. And because of that, we're just now this year, we're going to be shutting off all of our old legacy gateways when it comes to audio conferencing. So, and I mean, we're across 10 states, 40 hospitals, over 500 physician offices, and so all that's getting shut off this year, and we're going completely to Lync audio conferencing. You know, along with that, we see a lot of opportunity to continue to expand into the mobile world more and more. The physicians have lives also, and people forget that, you know, but they're on call 24 hours a day. Their patient comes in, they need to be able to very quickly and effectively get onto the system and be able to look and see at possibly an x-ray, look at just normal common information that the nursing want them to see, want them to review before they make decisions. And you know, the other big component that we're going to go down the road of is Lync in the, you know, in our big conference rooms. And you guys have made a lot of jokes today around the Tamberg, but the thing of it is we're crystal clear. Our users are not using that. For the big ones, our physicians demand an IT person to be in the room. Our executives do today. Our plan is that we're not going to have to do that in the future, because with a simple one-click add yourself to a meeting, I don't have to be there anymore now to teach them how to bring up an audio, video conference, or to be able to share content. And you know, it'll save us a tremendous amount of money, not just from what the cost of the room is anymore, but just in simply and how many people I have to have there to manage the room. So.
Great, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Dean, what do you see in the future with respect to your needs and where technology is going?
Well, Herb and I were actually talking in the green room, and many of the features that Derek demoed was exactly the items that we're looking for to really fill some of the gaps that's out there. The Lync and Skype integration is going to be very powerful to us, because our Latin American, our Middle Eastern offices have been chomping at the bit to get that technology, because that's simply how those offices work and how they're actually productive there. We're really looking forward, now that we've just gotten the whole dial tone issue out of the way, we can replace dial tone, that's great, to then really start educating our user base on all the additional functionality that's there in that single pane, so that they can choose the technology that will best enhance their practice, enhance their efficiency, their productivity, and therefore drive revenue generation for the firm.
It's great. I want to thank both of you for coming and sharing your stories with all of us. You know, certainly from my perspective, it's extremely gratifying to see how the products that we worked on work for you, but also equally important to get feedback from you so that we can shape the future with that information. So thank you. Thanks very much, Dean.
Thank you very much.
Herb. Thank you. You know, it's always extremely thrilling to me to talk to customers, because I get so many insights about products, and really it actually informs us. That's how we built Lync. And in some ways, you know, that's what the last decade has been about. Ever since we introduced the notion of, I remember we called it integrated communications first and then changed to unified communications. You know, this journey couldn't have happened without us being in this closed loop with customers. But you know, we are in a fascinating industry. We're in a fascinating industry because you can never really stop. And whenever you get there, you know, there is more to go. And I think we can probably close this decade by saying the future of unified communications that we predicted 10 years ago has come. We are there. But then the question comes, what is the next future? There's a lot of change happening at Microsoft. We have a new CEO, Satya Nadella. I've known Satya for many, many years. Great guy to lead the company. But one of the things he said the first day he got up to speak was, our industry does not respect tradition. It only respects innovation. You know, this actually gave me a moment to reflect upon my coming back to Lync and Skype. And I said, so what's my role? All the hard work we did for the last 10 years, now's my time to put my feet up and sort of bask in the glory and the business of Lync. That's not why I came back. I came back because I really believe in innovation. And in order to predict the future, it's best to inform yourself with what is happening in the world. Work and life. This trend, it's a secular trend. It is happening everywhere. Digital natives, these are children who've grown up with technology. check and say for most of you in the room and me, we did not, right? The internet sort of happened in 95. But there are people today in the next decade who will be entering the workforce who have been using technology from the age of 1 or before. Work and life has fundamentally transformed. You know, this old adages about don't bring work home, unfortunately is a thing of the past. The reason people want to bring work home is because it allows them to come home at a time when the kids need to be tucked in bed so that they can get back and get the work done. So the ability to intersperse work and life is very, very important, and it has to be one of the defining things in any new solution or any new vision that we talk about. Social. You know, in the workplace, we used to call it collaboration. And really, the expectation was that most work gets done inside your cubicle or in your office. And then when you're done whatever work you had to do, you got together and you sort of talked about it and presented it and took the feedback and so on. The world has changed. Today, people are actually sitting together and working and doing stuff. It's a completely new paradigm. Now, it doesn't mean they don't do work on their own, but a lot of work is building upon each other's ideas. And that is a really, really strong trend. I have a 12-year-old at home, and when he comes back from school, whether he's doing homework, whether he's playing Minecraft, whatever he's doing, he's got 5 friends on Skype all the time. It's kind of crazy. I can't even go to him and say, hey, you haven't done this, you haven't done that, because his friends are all listening to what I'm saying. But this is how, when he enters the workforce, he's not going to go settle for a cubicle where he's working alone. This is how his brain has developed. This is how he expects to do things in the coming decade. Talk about devices. You know, really, there's so many devices people are carrying around. And they're really dealing with, you know, one device, second device, wearable, you know, state on this, setting on that. And there's just a lot of that going on right now. But frankly, the number of devices per user is just going to continue to increase. I mean, there's probably a stabilization point, but certainly it is more than one. And that has to be part of any new vision that we can talk about. Synchronous and asynchronous. I'm working on the right way to express this in a name, okay? But let me tell you the concept. In the past, people were able to compartmentalize their communications so that, you know, am I sending a message to somebody which at some point they will read and respond to me, or am I really trying to do a real-time call with somebody? Whether it's a phone call, whether it's a text, you know, it's an IM message, whether the person's online. So this actually is transforming. You know, we see the blending of messaging, chat rooms, text messaging, email, all this sort of converging into the sync and async. And when you think about it, it actually is nothing but getting to a higher level of efficiency. Because there are times when, you know, I want to do 4 things together. If I'm trying to do 4 things together, I don't want to be on a video session with one person. I'm actually texting people back and forth. Sometimes I'm sending a video clip at the same time or an audio clip. And from an experience perspective, whether you're doing async or synchronous, that really has to converge because that's how people are working today. Lastly, you know, really it's about the cloud. At this point, I don't need to convince anybody that the cloud is real. But I can tell you for the next decade, this is going to be the fundamental pattern of most innovation. There's some other things as well on the side which are not as relevant. But anytime we talk about the future, we have to take these trends and this changing landscape in mind. So what are the implications? Well, the first implication is consistent experience. What do we mean by that? Again, working on the words, but here's what we mean by that. We mean that today's workforce is going to come in the next decade, people are going to come into work having used technology to a very high degree. Now you have a choice. You can tell them to forget everything that they've learned in their life and learn some, you know, telepresence system or some other kind of system. Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to enable them the same user experience that they have in their life at the workplace. That means day 0, these people are very productive. They come in, they don't need any training, they're expert users of tools because they're digital natives. This is going to be a huge, huge thing. And this is not a trend that, you know, any of us can resist. Now, I'm not saying that you won't have the same needs from a security and compliance perspective, but that's on the back end. This really is about the experience that people are using every day. This is a profound implication. The second implication is context and application intelligence. This concept is also very powerful, so let me take a few minutes to talk about it. You know, unified communications was about how do you take people, presence, and being able to talk to somebody, being able to instant message somebody, video conference, and make it part of the user experience. And frankly, you know, we are very happy that the entire industry adopted that model, because that's what unified communications is about. It's not just us, our competitors have adopted the model. In the next decade, this is going to get a lot deeper. So what does that mean? The reality is that today, even though we have tools which have this communications integrated, there is a lot of integration that we are doing inside our own minds. For example, let's say that I was on my desk and I was looking at a calendar for a meeting with Joe. Okay? Now, I get up, I close my PC and I walk away, and I have my phone. And next thing, I search for Joe, because I want to talk to him. Now today, the way the world works is that I'm going to show you an alphabetically sorted list of Joes. I checked at Microsoft, there's 565 of them, okay? And you know, you start scrolling down, eventually you'll find the Joe you're looking for. But actually, your brain knew which Joe it was. So why isn't the case that because few minutes after looking at a meeting with Joe, the first name when you searched for that name was Joe? This is about context. It is about intelligence. This is what I was doing for the last 2 years. I was building an artificial intelligence platform which allows applications to use and to deposit context which can then be used by other applications. This is really powerful. This is going to transform not just communications, it's going to transform everything inside the enterprise. But you cannot have a communication system sitting on the side which doesn't know what your calendar is doing, what documents you're looking at, what people you work with. So this intelligence is going to become a fundamental part as an implication of what the next vision is going to be. It is about all devices. You know, this example I gave you about looking for Joe was about because I moved from one device to the other. I don't want to walk to a new device which has no context about me. I want to make sure it's just whatever is in my brain, it just knows what to do. You know, prediction is going to become a big part of the next decade. And I think how you predict those moments in communications is really, really important as well. You know, there's been a lot of work happening in machine learning. Microsoft Research is probably one of the premier organizations in the world doing this. And for a lot of time, I was talking to some folks yesterday. You know, we've been investing in this thing called Bayesian research. And Bayesian is it's a statistical model in which if you give it enough data, you can actually predict things. For example, some of the experiments we're doing is we can actually predict who you'll be calling in the next 5 minutes. That sounds crazy, but guess what? In the next decade, you will see these things become part of our life. And that only happens when more and more signal, more and more context is available so that we can then enable the same experience across devices. It is about video everywhere. Study after study shows that people connect better with video. Higher level of trust, higher level of engagement, higher level of confidence, commitment, all these things happen with video. Whatever system, whatever vision we're talking about has to enable video across everybody. In the same way you can reach anybody with email, you should be able to reach anybody anywhere in the world, whether in work, life, continent, geo, you should be able to reach them with video, with high definition video. 1080p today, 4K tomorrow, all this is just imminent, and that has to be part of the vision that we have. And lastly, you should be able to reach everybody. I talked about video, but just being able to reach everybody with messages, with documents, with pictures you take. Folks, all these implications put together mean something. Now, we could say, you know what? This is kind of like, I'm going to squint at it and it looks like unified communications. Maybe. I believe that in every decade, there is sort of a new way to think about things. And with your permission today, we can shut the era of unified communications and move on to the era of universal communications. 10 years ago, when we got up and talked about this vision, some of this sounded very airy-fairy and, you know, what are these guys talking about? I can tell you, given the investments and the view into investments we have at Microsoft and in the industry, the era of universal communications is here to stay. And that's what the next decade is going to be about. It's going to change your and my life. In fact, 1 billion people in this decade will use Microsoft Universal Communications. That is the aspiration that I'm setting out for the team. And today, for the first time, I'm sharing that with you, and I want to invite you on this journey on universal communications with us. Before I wrap up, I want to show you a video. This video is, it's built using current tools, but it gives you a glimpse into how things will happen around the world with this vision of universal communications.
So Integron is a outsourcing firm. We provide services to the legal profession, to multinational corporations. We've got 2,200 employees around the world. About 3/4 of them are located in Asia.
We are a very diverse company. So we wanted people across different locations to talk to each other and to be able to do it seamlessly. We decided to implement Lync. Its audio-visual capabilities improve the people-to-people connect.
Integron supports and encourages its associates to give back to the communities. We have one of our staff in Mumbai who said, gee, I know this school that needs vocational training. The local team in India said, why don't we see what else we can do for the school?
Rotary Sanskadam Academy is very, very different from the rest of the hearing impaired school. We develop their different skills, and learning through experience is much more easier than just putting your heads into the books. And that has brought a lot of confidence in them, and ever smiling. They're ever smiling. I have learned a lot from the kids, and I think they are my best teachers.
We created a program called EduLink and see if we could use Lync in an educational setting.
So we conducted a couple of sessions, and frankly speaking, I was not really expecting it to be successful.
Does anyone know where Manila is?
When you get the look on the student's face of, I get it, speaks volumes if you would, it was just a very moving experience.
I was just amazed with how seamlessly the training session went. There was so much being said when there was nothing being said.
When they realized for themselves that communicating with others was so easy for the kids now, they started understanding, lip-reading people, and the children's confidence have come up. That was real good experiences to them,
The big learning experience was all about different ways of communicating that I've taken for granted.
These kids are very special. Every interaction I have with them, I come back and become a more positive person, become a more happier person.
Now they are very comfortable, like anybody comes from any part of the world. Yes, we can talk, we can face the world. That has become that attitude now.
Sometimes it's really hard to watch this video because it really, really reminds me why we come to work. Human beings they always overestimate what can be done in 3 years and underestimate what can be done in 10 years. We believe universal communications is going to change the world. And I'm asking you again to come on this journey with us. Thank you very much.